The stars were quiet. It's too quiet. A giant Imperial cruiser floated above the burned remains of Earth. The once blue planet now looked like a dead coal gray, cracked and lifeless. Fires still burned across what used to be cities. The last humans on Earth had surrendered 3 days ago. The surrender was broadcast live across 92 star systems. It was over, at least. That's what the Galactic Empire thought. High above Earth's orbit, inside the Imperial ship Valkyrian, Lord Marshal Kravix stood on the command bridge. He wore black armor lined with red lights. His yellow eyes watched the surrender replay on a screen, lips curled in satisfaction. Pathetic, he said, turning to his second-in-command. After all, their talk of resistance? They kneeled. Captain Vrel gave a cold nod. Earth's last president signed the Treaty of Compliance. Our weapons are dust. Their fleets are broken. Kravix smiled. Then it is done. Humanity is finished. But far from Earth, beneath the icy surface of Jupiter's moon Europa, a man named Commander Briggs stared at a cracked old monitor. His breath came out in puffs. The underground base was freezing. Most of the heating systems had failed long ago. He wore a thick coat, patched and dirty. His beard was rough. He hadn't slept properly in days. And now, on the screen in front of him, he saw the worst thing possible. Earth burning. The president kneeling. The Imperial Treaty. The end. Briggs said nothing. He stared then. He picked up a rusted metal cup and threw it hard against the wall. It clanged, bounced, and rolled to a stop. "Damn it," he shouted. Beside him, a small maintenance drone blinked to life, hovered. Up, with a soft hum. "Commander Briggs," the drone said. "You are advised to calm down. Your blood pressure is..." Briggs cut it off with a wave of his hand. "They gave up," he said quietly. "They actually gave up." The drone tilted. "It is a logical decision. They had no ships, no weapons. Earth was surrounded." Briggs stood and walked to a dusty console. He flipped a red switch under a locked panel. Warning lights turned on. A female voice came from the ceiling speakers. "Project Ember authorization requested." "Authorization code, Ember 01, Briggs said. His voice was low, controlled, accepted. "Project Ember online." The lights in the base flickered to life. Ancient screens lit up. Power surged. Through the long-dead corridors of Outpost Vale Sevena, forgotten cold site from the old Earth Defense Network, the place hadn't been active in 25 years. The drone floated back in alarm. "Commander, this site is under mothball status." "What are you doing?" Briggs looked up. His eyes were sharp now. "I'm starting a war." 4 hours later, Briggs stood in the launch bay of the outpost. A small, sleek stealth ship stood ready, old Earth markings still barely visible on its black hull. It was a relic just like the base, just like him. But it still worked. As he loaded supplies into the ship, the drone floated beside him. "You can't win, Commander." "Not trying to win," he said, strapping in a crate. "Of old weapons, I'm trying to make them bleed." The drone beeped nervously. "Project Ember was shut down for a reason. Titans are uncontrollable. They won't be if I control them." "You're just one man." "No," Briggs said as he climbed into the cockpit. "I'm the last man who hasn't surrendered." The stealth ship hummed to life, lifted off the launch pad, and disappeared into the frozen tunnels above. Moments later, the ice cracked, and the ship burst out of Europa's surface island, invisible to Empire sensors. Destination Mars. Meanwhile, aboard the Empire's command station, an orbit report just came in, sir, said a nervous officer. On Valkyrian, a deep space listening post near Jupiter picked up a launch. Lord Marshal Kravix turned slowly. "What kind of launch?" "Unknown class. Likely human. From beneath Europa's surface." Kravix narrowed his eyes. "I thought all human bases were shut down." They were, but this one didn't respond to any surrender signals. "It was listed as inactive since I don't care what it was listed as," Kravix snapped. "Don't send a patrol drone. Find it, destroy it." The officer bowed. "Yes, Lord Marshal." But even as he gave the order, the ship had already vanished into the shadows of space. 6 days later, Mars read dry. Dead, At least that's what the Empire thought. They never found black site cinder on ancient weapons. Vault buried deep under Olympus Mons. Briggs had. His ship landed silently inside a cracked canyon. A hidden hangar opened from beneath the dust, revealing an elevator large enough to carry tanks. Briggs stepped out and stared into the black. He spoke into the mic on his wrist. "This is Commander Briggs, activating Titan storage unit. Level 9. Voice unlock. Emperor protocol." The walls rumbled. Dust fell from above. Lights flickered on. One by one, along a massive underground chamber, each one revealing something terrifying. Titans, giant metal war machines, each over 50 feet tall, rested in charging cradles. Old Earth. Flags still hung above them, torn and faded. Each Titan had a name: Leviathan, Cerberus, Ragnarok, Hammerfell. Too dangerous. It's why Earth buried them when peace came. Briggs walked toward the nearest one. "Leviathanine, I know you're still in there," he whispered. "You were made for war, and war's calling again." He placed his hand on the cold metal hull. "Wake up." "Back on the Empire ship, sir. We lost contact with the scout drone," said the officer. Kravix frowned. "Location? Mars?" Kravix turned quiet. Then he smiled. "So the humans are trying to play war again." He activated a comlink. "Inquisitor Veras, you are hereby reactivated," the voice answered, calm and cold. "I've been waiting, Marshal." 1 week later, Briggs sat inside a small command pod connected to the Titan's control system. The AI inside Leviathan 9 had just rebooted. "This unit is Leviathan 9. Pilot signature, Commander Briggs." "Welcome back," Briggs exhaled slowly. "You remember me." "Memory systems intact. Last combat mission. Siege of Hallian Ridge. Status: all weapons offline, but systems can be restored with time." "Good, because we're going to hit the Empire, and we'll need every cannon firing." Leviathan 9 rumbled in agreement. "Target." Briggs smiled for the first time in weeks. "Let's start with an Empire listening post near Saturn." The attack came fast and silent. The listening post wasn't ready. Why would it be? Ow. The humans had surrendered. There was no threat. But then a Titan dropped from Mars orbit like a falling comet. Leviathanine crashed through the station's shields, fired railguns into the command core, and vanished before backup arrived. The station burned. The last thing it broadcast was one word: Titan. Back on the Empire shiplord, Marshal Kravix stared at the report. His face had gone pale. The officer trembled. "We think it was a Titan-class mech. Human-made." "But they were all destroyed," Kravix said. "No, sir. They were hidden." Kravix stood slowly, fury building in his voice. "Then we will drag them out of hiding and burn what's left. I want every system swept. Find whoever did this." Back on Mars, Leviathan, powered down in a hidden canyon, Briggs stood beside the warm hole. He looked up at the stars. "They think it's over," he said. He clenched his fist. "They're wrong." The patrol ship never saw it coming. It hovered near the edge of Saturn's rings, scanning for radiation leaks and space junk. A quiet job. A boring one. The young Imperial pilot was half asleep when the sky flashed white and then tore open. Out of nothing came a shadow, a giant Titan-class, a railgun. Blast ripped through the patrol ship in a single, silent second. The last thing the pilot saw before the power failed was a human. Symbol on a massive metal chest, the phoenix of old Earth. Mars. Blacksite Cinderbriggs stood in front of the activation panel. Around him, more Titan units lined the underground bay. Cerberus, Hammerfall, and Oblivion 3 sat in their cradles, covered in dust and rust, but still intact. He looked at his old datapad. 3 more Titans in this facility. 2 are damaged. 1 can still move. Leviathan's AI spoke through his earpiece. "I recommend priority activation of Cerberus. He is optimized for counter-pursuit defense and heavy artillery." Shh. Briggs nodded and tapped in the code. "Wake him up." One of the drowned rumbled. One of the Titans groaned like a beast coming out of a long sleep. Dust fell. Hydraulic limbs twitched. Red eyes flickered on. Unit Cerberus online. Pilot ID, error, unknown. Briggs stepped forward. I'm Commander Briggs. Earth Defense. Welcome back. Time since last activation, 27 years. Blast. Mission. Counterattack at Luna Base. Status. Angry. Briggs cracked a tired smile. Good. You're gonna need that. He turned toward a dusty terminal and began typing. Lines of ancient code flashed by. Behind him, the two Titans Leviathan and Cerberus stood silently, waiting. Then the console beeped. Project Ember, Stage TWO INITA, 2 Briggs, whispered to himself. Let's light the fire. Meanwhile, Empire Interrogation Station X9 Inquisitor. Vera stood in the shadows, tall and silent. Her black cloak covered smooth armor laced with glowing blue veins. Her face was half covered by a bone-white mask. She watched the replay of the Titan, tacked for the 5th time. Her voice was like ice. Are you sure this is recent footage? Yes, Inquisitor, the tech officer replied nervously. The attack on the Saturn post was last night. The markings match Earth's Titan program. I thought we destroyed all of them. We did, or we thought we did. Vera stepped forward. Then someone has woken the ashes. She turned and walked toward the hangar. Prepare my ship. I'm going to Mars. Mars' black site cinder, the hidden base hummed with new life. Power was slowly coming back online. Drones worked to clean the tunnels. Weapons were being unlocked. From storage old pulse rifles, armor suits, explosives, Briggs stood in the command room. Looking at the holographic galaxy map, dots blinked across the outer system's Empire supply depots, fuel stations, communication relays. He marked 3. Targets in red. Hit and vanish. Fast strikes. Make them scared again. The drone assistant floated beside him. His voice was cautious. Sir, this will draw full Imperial attention. It may retaliate with orbital bombardment. Briggs didn't look away from the map. Good. 2 days later, near the Empire fuel station on Zeta 4, it was supposed to be a routine fuel run. The Empire station sat peacefully in orbit over a mining planet. Cargo ships came and went. Guards were relaxed, then the sky opened again. 2 Titans. Dropped from low orbit, Cerberus hit the deck with a scream of metal and rage. He launched twin shockwave grenades that knocked the outer wall flat. Leviathan landed behind him, railguns spinning. The guards barely had time to sound the alarm. Explosions rocked the station. Human-shaped metal monsters moved through the smoke silent, precise, unstoppable. Inside the control room, the commander screamed into the com. Help! We're under attack. It's Earth tech. Titans. Titans. Then silence, the feed cut. Off an hour later, Briggs stood among the ruins. Cerberus smoked gently beside him, reloading. Leviathan scanned for escape pods. Briggs took out a small recorder. He looked into the lens. This message is for the Empire. You thought Earth was finished? You thought wrong. We're not rebuilding. We're not surrendering. We're coming. He threw the device onto a crate. The Titans walked away. Moments later, the crate exploded, broadcasting the message into every Imperial communication relay in range. Back on Empire, World Prime Lord Marshal Kravix roared and slammed his fist into the table. He's mocking us. The advisors trembled. Sir, the message is spreading. We've tried to shut it down, but rebel groups are already sharing it across their networks. Who is he? No ID yet, sir. Just a name attached to the broadcast. Kravix leaned forward. The officer read the words carefully. Commander Briggs, Earth Defense. Outpost Vale 7. Kravix's eyes narrowed. Send Vera's. Tell her to erase that name from history. Deep Space Onboard Inquisitor Vera's. Stealth Cruiser Vera's watched. The human broadcast without blinking. She turned to her AI assistant. Track. The energy signatures. He's using Titans. That means power surges. Old Earth codes. We can trace them, the AI responded. Estimated origin, Mars, Site Cinder. Black facility, thought destroyed. Varys stood. Then we begin with fire. Back on Mars, warning alarms. Blair Briggs ran down the corridor as red lights flashed. The drone followed. Sir, Empire signal inbound. A stealth cruiser just dropped from warp. They found us. Briggs skidded into the Titan Bay. Wake all. Systems. Scramble Leviathan and Cerberus. Prepare to evacuate. The base shook. A direct hit. The old roof above collapsed in part of the tunnel. Fire burst from the west wing. The AI voice echoed from the speakers. Inquisitor-class weapons. Detected. Prepare for combat. Briggs slid into Leviathan's control pod. Let's give her a warm welcome. Outside on the Martian surface, the ground split open as Cerberus rose first. Cannons hot. Varys' ship hovered above, silent like a predator. She stood at the edge of the drop ramp, wind blowing her cloak back. She whispered into her cum. Fire red. Beams shot from the cruiser, striking the sand where Cerberus had just stood. The Titan rolled sideways and returned fire missiles launched upward. Chasing the attacker, Leviathan stomped into position beside him. Briggs shouted through the mic. Cerberus, cover me. I'm going for her. In the sky, Varys dropped from her ship like a blade. She landed on Leviathan's shoulder with perfect balance, activated twin plasma sabers, and began to cut into the armor. Briggs was thrown around inside the pod. Who the hell is this? The AI screamed. Warning! Hull breach! Briggs activated a defense turret. It rotated and fired, forcing Viras to leap off. She landed smoothly. Eyes locked on the cockpit. For the first time in years, Briggs felt cold fear. He looked up. She's not normal. As the Titans backed into the canyon, they couldn't win this fight. Not yet. Varys called into her comm. They'll run. Briggs made the call. Pull back. Deep tunnels. We regroup later. The Titans disappeared into the dark, wounded but alive. Back in the canyon, after the battle, Briggs sat beside a campfire made from cracked fuel cells. The drone floated beside him. That woman, she's not just Empire. Briggs nodded. She's a hunter? They're sending their worst now. He looked into the flames. We're not ready yet. The drone beeped. But we will be. Briggs picked up his datapad. I need to find the others. The Empire's outpost on Vega 3 was quiet. No alarms, no ships, just stars, wind, and silence. Then, at exactly 3 o'clock standard time, something appeared on the edge of the atmosphere. It wasn't a fleet. It was worse. The air shimmered. Static built. In the comes, and fire bloomed across the sky like a second sun. The last thing the outpost commander saw before being turned to ash was the shape of 2 Titans. Walking through flames, they didn't speak. They didn't stop. They just left behind a symbol burned into the landing pad. Earth Lives. Empire Command, Sector 7 War Room Chaos. Maps showed 4 fringe worlds lost in under 2 weeks. Vega 3 Tolan Ridge Outpost J92 New Brickich. Site had the same message left behind. Each was burned. General Velthor banged his fist on the console. We're being hunted. These aren't random attacks. They're surgical, clean, message-driven. A younger officer whispered, there. Using human tactics, guerrilla raids, psychological strikes. An older alien admiral looked even more afraid. No, they're using Titan tactics. Human mobile base, the Ashlight, now reinforced Briggs, stood before a 3D map of Empire-controlled fringe systems. Red lines connected weak outposts. Fuel. Depot's communication towers, places the Empire didn't protect well. Behind him stood his Titans, Leviathan, Drakefire, and the newly repaired Cerberus. Tessa floated close. Sir, we have identified 11 targets. All are critical to the Empire's resource lines, but weakly defended. Briggs nodded. We'll strike 3. Hit vanish. Hit again. He looked out the window, deep into space. They erased Earth from the stars. Now we erase their safety. Meanwhile, Empire Frontier World, Jelvon Station, a desert moon. One small city, a mining colony ruled by the Empire. People lived in fear. Patrol ships scanned the skies. Loudspeakers played daily warnings about terrorists. Suddenly, All lights went out. Every machine stopped working. Panic spread then. The ground rumbled. Two titans rose from the sand. Like giants of myth, the first one fired a pulse that destroyed the power grid. The second melted the control tower. The third didn't fire. It walked to the main square, turned on its external speakers, and played an old Earth song. The colonists stood frozen, confused. The lyrics were soft, sad. Then the Titan spoke one line. "You forgot us. Now we make you remember." Titans left. No civilians were harmed. Only Empire buildings burned. The city would never forget the visit. Galactic News Network underground broadcast across neutral systems. A hidden pirate signal went live. A masked human spoke to the camera. The Titans have returned. The ones the Empire feared most. They are not machines. They are symbols of what was lost and what now rises. Clips showed Leviathan walking through fire. Drakefire destroying warships in a single shot. Cerberus shielding colonists from falling debris. The message was clear. Humanity is alive. And it is angry. Empire's core meeting of the 12 noble houses for the first time in 100 years. All 12 noble houses gathered in the Senate Tower. Fear was in the air. House Oran's leader, a spider-like alien named Lise, hissed, "These attacks are not war. They are terror." House Vorn's speaker shouted, "No, they are revenge." And House Seldara's elders stood, calm and cold. "Centuries ago, we made a mistake. We burned the humans. But we didn't break them." He stared into the silence. "We buried their fire, but we forgot to crush the embers." Hidden Outpost Deep Space Briggs met with 3 alien commanders. Not Empire. Not friends, but not enemies anymore. The alien in front of him, Captain Rowe of the Velar species, clicked his claws nervously. "Why meet with us, human? We watched Earth fall. We did nothing." Briggs looked him in the eyes. "And we remember." Rowe blinked. "But you didn't attack us?" "We attacked the Empire," Briggs replied. "But we won't stop the fire from spreading, unless you help." "Help you how?" "Hide us. Feed us information. Let us move between your systems." The aliens looked at each other, then slowly nodded. "We don't want war," Rowe said, "but maybe the Empire deserves a scare." Briggs reached across the table. "Then we make them afraid again." Empire High Command Inquisitor Veras returns. Inquisitor Veras walked into the chamber like a shadow. Behind her, scorched armor, a cracked helmet, a damaged sword. She dropped them at the Emperor's feet. "The Titans are smarter than before. They fight with strategy," the Emperor asked. "And the commander? Still alive? Is he building an army?" Veras nodded. "Yes, and he's not hiding anymore. He's leading openly." The Emperor's eyes burned. "Then we make an example." He pressed a button. "Operation Furnace. Authorized. Target Planet Harness. Suspected human base. Objective: full planetary cleansing. Human listening station message intercepted Tessa picked. Opt! The signal before the Empire could encrypt it fully. Commander, she warned. They're preparing an orbital strike on Harness. Civilian population, 2.7 million. Our contact network is there." Briggs tightened his jaw. "We don't have the fleet to stop them, but we have the Titans." Briggs stared at the screen. "Then we hit them before they can fire." The ambush at Harnessus Empire cruisers charged their orbital cannons. 3 Titans dropped from low orbit, landing directly on the cruisers' hulls. Metal versus metal, fire versus Fury Leviathan. Punched through an engine core, Drakefire melted the bridge. Of a command ship, Cerberus launched missiles at the escort. Fighters. Empire captains screamed orders, but it was chaos. From the surface, the people of Harness looked up and saw Earth's monsters defending them. Final scene: Empire broadcast hijacked across dozens of star systems. A hacked message cut into regular news feeds. Briggs appeared, face uncovered this time. "To the Empire. You wanted a war. You created it. Now we burn together." He looked directly into the lens. "This is not the return of Earth. He raised a fist. This is the rise of fire. In the cold black of space, a deep space Empire patrol ship floated above a dead moon in Sector 12K. Everything was quiet, too quiet. Commander Ural, thin reptilian officer with sharp black eyes, sat in the command chair, bored. His crew was lazy, their scanners blinking green. But then, just before the hour, changed, an alarm went off. Unidentified signal, technician said. It's old, human frequency. Ural stood. Human. Here, impossible. The signal was weak, repeating, static. But one word came through clearly every 5 seconds. Titan. 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 Ural's skin turned pale. That can't be. Those were destroyed. The technician gulped. Sir, the signal is coming from Rocapanine. That was a dead rock. A moon turned to slag years ago. Ural gave the order. Send a scout. I want eyes on that signal. But deep down, even he knew something was waking up. Mars' temporary human camp. Deep underground, Briggs sat on a metal crate in a quiet tunnel. His suit was cracked. His arm was bandaged. Cerberus stood nearby in standby mode, leaking coolant. From his right leg, Tessa, the floating AI orb, blinked softly beside him. We lost power in 4 main tunnels. Enemy weapons did heavy damage. Mars base is no longer safe, Tessa reported. Briggs looked tired. We need to leave. Agreed? But where will you go? Briggs opened an old folder on his tablet. It was marked M Protocol Locations. Classified, he tapped on the screen. 7 red dots. Appeared secret Earth sites where Titans had been buried before the war. 2 were marked destroyed. 3 were marked unknown. 2 remained active. One of them was on Rho-Kappa-9. Briggs nodded to himself. We head there. Empire's capital throne room of Lord Shirianth Emperor slammed his clawed fist into the throne arm. Ow! Many Titans are still out there? The general standing before him trembled. We don't know, my lord. At least 4. Maybe more. Commander Briggs seems to be locating them one by one. Lord Shirian's voice was cold. An Inquisitor Varys, she engaged 2 Titans on Mars. She wounded them, but failed to destroy them. The Emperor stood up slowly, the room growing silent. If even one of those machines reaches Imperial space, the fear they carry will return. He raised his hand. Find them. Burn them. Leave no metal unturned. Rocapanine, the dead moon, the Ashlight Briggs stealth ship, entered orbit quietly. Scans showed no life. Just dust, ruins, and melted rock. Briggs sat in the pilot's seat, staring down at the old landing zone. Any signs of movement? He asked. Tessa beeped. None. But the signal is real. It is broadcasting from below the surface, 3.1 kilometers down, and we go. Cerberus was too damaged to drop again. Briggs brought only Leviathan with him this time. The Titan deployed, through a side hatch, and landed with a heavy crash. The old moon shook. Below the surface, the forgotten vault, the entrance was hidden under a fallen satellite dish. Briggs found a sealed door with the Earth defense logo burned into the metal. It opened with his old war code. Inside, the tunnels were cold. Long-dead lights flickered weakly. The walls were lined with rust and dust, but deeper in, Briggs found them 3 Titans. 1 lay in pieces. The second had melted arms, but the third, tall, armored with a head like a dragon, stood upright, undamaged. Tessa scanned it. Designation: Titan 17. Codename: Drakefire. Power: 6%. AI intact. Briggs placed his hand on the terminal. Wake him. Lights blinked. Energy surged. The Titan's eyes snapped open, burning gold. Drakefire online. Requesting mission parameters. Briggs smiled. We've got a war to restart. Orbiting. Rocapanine Empire scout ship. The scout ship arrived silently. Its crew scanned the surface. Sir, we've detected power spikes. There's something big moving down there. Then the screen turned white. A massive energy beam burst upward, destroying the scout ship in a single flash. No survivors from the crater below. Drake fire rose slowly, smoke trailing from his. Cannon's Deep Space Inquisitor Virus receives the signal. Virus stood on her ship, staring at the report. Another Titan. Another one woken. She looked at the star map and narrowed her eyes. He's gathering them. Her assistant AI blinked. Correct. 3 known Titans now active. Where will he go next? Tessa's next probable location appeared. Dead Station M4. Abandoned in orbit above a black star. Varys turned to her pilot. Set course, and this time, we erase him completely. Back on Rocapanine, inside Leviathan's cockpit, Briggs sat between glowing consoles. The 2 Titans, Leviathan and Drake, fire stood near the edge of the crater. Tessa floated close. Commander, you now control 2 functioning Titans. What's the next step? Briggs stared at the stars above. We go hunting. 3 days later, Empire Listening Post 77, located near a quiet asteroid belt. The post was staffed by only 12 soldiers. It hadn't seen action in years, until 2 Titans appeared. The station barely had time to signal. Leviathan tore through the outer shields. Drakefire ignited a wall of fire that melted defense drones mid-air. Briggs sent no message this time. He left only the Empire flag burned, then the Earth's defense logo painted on a broken wall. Across the Empire's communication channels, a new warning echoed their back. Empire War Council emergency meeting, the generals argued. The Emperor watched. They've destroyed 4 posts in 2 weeks. They're not attacking at random. They're sending a message. Emperor raised a hand. What do we fear most? He asked. A general answered, that the galaxy remembers who humans really are. The Emperor nodded. They were never just soldiers. They were fire. Now, ... the fire returns. Final scene, Briggs' message to the galaxy in a dark room aboard. His ship Briggs recorded another broadcast. My name is Commander Briggs. Earth is gone, but we are not finished. We're Titans. We do not forget, and we do not forgive. This isn't just revenge. This is a warning. The last line sent chills through 100 worlds. The Empire thought it was over. We're just getting started. The signal came from nowhere. No star nearby, no planet. It's just deep black space. And yet somehow it cut through all Imperial channels, hacked civilian satellites, even interrupted private. Comes across 17 systems. One message, one voice, human, static. At first, then words, you shouldn't have let us live. And then something impossible. The voice belonged to President Arlen, Earth's last leader, executed live on Galactic broadcast 10 years ago. Empire. Central Command Communications Tower 9 technicians worked in panic. This isn't possible. One shouted, she's dead! We all saw it, the captain growled. A rebel trick, but it's using her DNA pattern. Her voice, her tone, even the speech rhythms match. What's the source? The tech shook his head. No idea. It's coming from a dead zone. Sector Thatanal. There's nothing there, but the signal's real. Silence. The captain gave a single order. Send for Inquisitor Varys. Briggs shipped the Ashlight, now a mobile Titan carrier. Tessa repeated the message, you shouldn't have let us live. In transmission. Source unknown. Signal strength is consistent with deep space quantum relays. Too strong for old Earth tech? Briggs sat still, staring at the screen. That voice? I know it. He stood. That's Arlen Voss, our last president. She was executed during the siege of Earth. Tessa blinked. You believe this signal is real? I don't know what it is, but I'm going to find out. Cerberus, standing idle nearby, turned its head slightly. If that signal is real, then she's not the only one who survived. Rogue AI signals Sector Thatan Elbriggs set a course for Thatan, cursed part of space. The Empire called it a no-return zone, full of black holes, broken wrecks, lost ships. But humans once called it something else. The Voice Well, a place where dying ships sent their final messages, where rogue AI fragments drifted forever. The ghosts of war still whispered. The closer they got, the stranger the ship became. Lights flickered. Old Earth music played faintly through the walls. Doors opened without command. Even Tessa hesitated. "Commander, I don't like this place," Briggs replied calmly. "That's why we came. Empire ship, Vera's and Root Inquisitor Vera's." Reviewed the signal for the 100th time. She froze it on one frame. Harlan Voss' eyes. "Still proud, still defiant," Vera's whispered. Her AI chimed in. "Probability, this is real. 0.004%. Probability she planned this before death. 76%. The AI paused. "Would you like to know the signal's message history?" "Yes." A list appeared. Vera's eyes narrowed. The signal has been sent 23 times. Over 10 years, increasing in strength. Repeating every 189 days. The last line made. Her go still. It started one day after the siege of Earth. Back on the Ashlight, signal lock acquired Tessa, beeped rapidly. "Commander?" The signal just flared again. Strongest reading yet. The of coordinates. Briggs looked out the window. Nothing. But black. No planet, no ship, no beacon. "Just space," he said. Then a shape appeared. A massive, silent station, slowly rotating, rusted, dead, half-eaten by time, yet still alive. Station ECHOO, last logged, Earth year 2441 status, Mia Briggs whispered. "Echo 0. I thought this was destroyed during the Titan Rebellion." Tessa floated closer. "Would you like to dock?" He nodded. "Let's meet the ghost." Inside ECHO0 hallways of memory, the air was thin. The lights barely worked. Briggs walked alone, rifle in hand. His boots echoed on the metal floor. He passed rooms filled with old helmets, photographs, children's drawings, memorial plaques. Then a screen lit up. Her face, Arlen Voss, Commander Briggs. The recording said, as if she knew he'd come, "If you're seeing this, Earth has fallen, but humanity hasn't." Tessa gasped softly. "It's a pre-recorded AI construct. She planned this." The message continued. "We stored everything here. Data, weapons, AI minds, secrets the Empire never found." Briggs felt his heart beat faster. Then the final words came. "Project Prometheus is still alive." Outside Empire cruiser drops. Vera's arrived. Her ship appeared near show, scanning immediately. She gave her command. "Full lockdown. No escape. I want Briggs alive." Back inside the vault, Awakens Briggs found the core chamber. A massive machine slept in the center. Tessa scanned it. AI signature detected. Extremely advanced. This isn't just another Titan. This is ... Prometheus, Briggs said. "Our last AI god weapon." The console lit up. "Human command detected," it said. Then the station shook outside. Empire troopers were breaching the hall. The awakening of Prometheus. Briggs placed his palm on the interface. Authorization. Commander Briggs. Earth Defense. Code Ember 9. The chamber pulsed. Prometheus opened its eyes. "Welcome back, Commander. I have been waiting." Power surged through the station. Old weapons turned online. Holograms of Earth cities filled the walls. Then the AI said one final thing. "Would you like me to start the fire again?" Briggs smiled. "Yes." Final scene. ECHOO fights back. Empire soldiers flooded the corridors. But the station's walls came alive. Auto turrets rose. Prometheus spoke through every speaker. "You came here thinking we were dead, but we were dreaming." Lasers cut through the Empire squads. Varys growled. "Fall back. This isn't just a man. It's a memory weapon." As her ship retreated, she saw Briggs standing on the station platform, eyes glowing in the blue light of Prometheus' core. She knew the war had just changed. Briggs' final broadcast of the episode across the galaxy. The hacked message played. "This is Commander Briggs. We have recovered the past. We remember who we were, and we are not finished." His voice deepened. "We buried Earth, but our voice still carries. And now, we speak for all of humanity." Across the galaxy, the news echoed, Galaxy's prime is gone. The Forge world, the Empire's core factory, was a burning grave in space. Dreadnoughts fell from orbit. Starship assembly lines were vaporized. The war machine of the Empire had lost its heart. But the Empire was not finished, and neither was humanity. From the shadows of the throne world, a new signal was sent. A single phrase, "Initiate final protocol." And moments later, 17 black obelisks across Imperial space lit up, and something old awoke. Empire, throne world, the final weapon. The Emperor stood in his war chamber. Lightning pulsed through the dark crystal walls. Inquisitor Veras, now scarred and limping, stood beside him. She whispered, "You're really doing it?" The Emperor answered without emotion. "They destroyed the Forge. They awakened Titans. They brought back ghosts of Earth. Now, we give them death absolute." The floor split open. From beneath the palace rose the Aphelion, a city-sized super weapon. Orbit-capable, designed in secret long before Earth was ever attacked. Not just a ship, not just a cannon. A weapon that could erase stars. The Ashlight, orbiting a hidden human base, Briggs, stood with Marshal Voss and Tessa inside a repurposed mining station. Tessa's voice was sharp. "I intercepted the Empire's secure code. They activated final protocol. It's worse than we thought." A 3D projection appeared. The Aphelion, Tessa explained. "This ship carries a stellar eraser core. One shot can destroy entire systems. It charges in 48 hours. Briggs clenched his fists. "Where is it headed?" Tessa answered softly. "Sol system."
Yes.
Briggs froze. "Earth's grave. Humanity's memory." Marshal Voss stepped forward. "We strike it before it fires." Briggs nodded. One final ride. Planning the impossible, the team gathered. Briggs leading from Leviathan, Voss commanding Umbra, Tessa hacking Aphelions, security grid, Cerberus and Drakefire, ready to shield the others, a small human. Fleet built from stolen tech and rebuilt scraps. The plan was crazy. They had to breach the Aphelions, shields land 3 Titans inside the ship, fight through its inner defenses, destroy the core from within, escape before the Aphelion. Self-destructive failure meant extinction. Approach to the Aphelion, the Ashlight in 5. Support ships jumped from stealth into high orbit. The Aphelion hung in space like a silent god. Larger than anything they had ever faced, Tessa hacked the forward gate. "I can open you a breach, but only for 90 seconds. Briggs strapped into. Leviathan, 90's enough. The Titans launched like comets. They tore through space, smashing into the Aphelion's hull and punching straight into its internal hangars. The war to end all wars had begun. Inside the Aphelion, the final fire alarm screamed. Hundreds of mech guards swarmed the landing zone. Drakefire ignited entire corridors with fire. Cerberus tanked the front line. Shielding Tessa's physical drone core, Leviathan and Umbra charged through enemy barricades, but the ship was endless. As they neared the core, defense drones shaped like serpents flooded from the walls. Tessa shouted through the comms, "We're running out of time. The core is charging faster." Emperor's voice suddenly. The voice of the Emperor echoed through the Aphelion itself. "You crawl through the corpse of our future, thinking you can win, but even Titans burn." He activated self-defense. Lockdowns, hallways sealed, gravity shifted, floor panels exploded beneath the Titan's Umbra. Took a direct energy lance and staggered. Voss yelled in pain but kept moving. Briggs saw the end approaching and pushed faster. The core room, they reached it. A sphere of burning white light, surrounded by shield walls and power columns. Briggs jumped from Leviathan and ran toward the main control terminal. Tessa connected directly, beginning override. But just then, Inquisitor Veras appeared, armor broken, blade crackling. She had arrived by teleport beacon. "I told you I would erase you," she said. She charged. Briggs met her head on. Briggs. V's Veras, final duo alpha. Chamber lit with blade clashes and plasma bursts. Veras moved like lightning, but Briggs had fury. He fought with Titan blade, bare fists, and memories of Earth burning. Each blow was heavy, each cut personal. Finally, Briggs disarmed her and slammed her into the core platform. She gasped, blood dripping from her mouth. You can't win. Briggs looked her in the eyes. We already did. The explosion Tessa finished the override. The singularity bomb was placed. Evacuate now, she cried. Leviathan caught Briggs mid-run and leaped back the way they came. All Titans sprinted. Voss triggered Umbra's full stealth jump from inside the ship. As the Titans jumped into orbit, the Aphelion exploded, not with light, but with silence. A collapsing gravity wave consumed the ship, and with it, the Emperor. Aftermath. 1 month later, Empire fleets scattered. The throne world stood silent. Hundreds of worlds declared neutrality. Others raised Earth's symbol, a broken circle, on their buildings. The war wasn't over, but the balance had changed. Final scene, Earth's grave. Briggs stood on a gray rock where Earth once orbited. The ashes of humanity's home world floated like dust. He placed a flag on the stone, not for war, but for memory. Voss stood beside him. What's next? She asked. Briggs looked up at the stars. We rebuild, and if the galaxy ever forgets us again. He smiled. We remind them louder. The forge world of Galaxis Prime was not a planet. It was a machine, a world-sized factory, wrapped in black metal and red fire. Orbiting a dying red sun, it forged warships, superweapons, and dreadnoughts for the Empire's fleet every single day. Hundreds of thousands of workers, many enslaved, operated its systems. Its surface never slept. Above it hovered 12 sky fortresses, powered by ancient reactors, and deep within the forge world's core was the Crucible, the machine that built the fleet that destroyed Earth. Empire Throne World Inquisitor Varys. Recovery Chamber. Varys lay in a medical tank, skin burned, armor melted, body stitched together with biosilk. She had barely survived Briggs' ambush. The Emperor stood over her. You failed, he said coldly. Varys didn't move. Only her voice replied through the tank. They had another Titan. One I didn't know existed. The Emperor turned away. Then the Forge World must never fall. If they take it, the war will tip. He raised his hand. Deploy the Sovereign Guard and prepare Project Annihilator, a Schlight human mobile base, en route to galaxies. Prime Marshal Alina Voss stood before the holographic map, flanked by Briggs and the AI. Tessa Voss spoke clearly. We strike at the heart of the Empire. Their biggest advantage is production. Kill that we cut the blood from their war machine, Tessa added. Galaxis Prime is protected by hundreds of orbital cannons, shield stations, and a planetary defense ring. Drakefire growled from its docking harness. Cerberus slammed a fist into the wall in anticipation. Briggs looked at the plan. We don't just attack. We infiltrate, disable, then detonate the Crucible. He turned to Voss. You sure Umbra can get us through that shield? She nodded once. She was built for the impossible. The plan, there were 5 key steps. Umbra would cloak and drop Leviathan, Briggs, and a sabotage team onto the Forge World's surface. Tessa would hack the external shield grid from orbit, keeping it open for 9 minutes only. Voss and Drakefire would strike the outer shipyards to create distraction and chaos. Cerberus would guard the extraction point for evac. Briggs would reach the Crucible and plant a singularity core black hole bomb. The risk? Everything. Infiltration begins. Drop over Galaxis Prime Umbra, uncloaked. Just outside the detection radius, it descended fast, now or never. Briggs said. The back hatch opened, revealing the massive burning machine world below. Lava rivers, smoke towers, firelight blinking like the pulse of a dying god. Leviathan jumped first, crashing into the metal surface. Then Briggs and the sabotage team followed in drop pods, slamming through layers of heat. They landed hardened. A platform filled with industrial walkers. Sirens screamed. Tessa's voice buzzed in his ear. Shield hack engaged. You have 9 minutes. The diversion. Voss and Drakefire strike elsewhere. Voss and Drakefire rained plasma onto the outer. Doc's cargo freighters exploded. Half-built warships tumbled into space, Empire fighters scrambled. Screams echoed over emergency comms. An admiral on the bridge of Sky Fortress 6 shouted, "They're not attacking for territory. They're attacking to destroy the factory." Ground assault brigs and the Crucible brigs fought through mechanical corridors. Laser fire lighting the smoke, he and his team dodged drones, cut down mech guards, and planted mines as they moved. Finally, they reached the Crucible core, a massive machine the size of a city, spinning, breathing, making war. The Singularity core sat in Briggs' hands, a black metal sphere humming with power. He activated the timer. 9 minutes, they ran. But then screams. From above, something dropped. A new Titan. One they'd never seen before. Its name was whispered through Imperial radio. Project Annihilator. The Annihilator. The Empire's Monster 10. Stories tall. Spiked, armed with gravity coils and antimatter fists. It slammed into the platform and crushed 2 of Briggs' team instantly. Briggs raised his rifle butt. It didn't matter. The Annihilator was too fast. Leviathan arrived. Smashing into the beast's butt, the Annihilator grabbed him by the chest and hurled him into the Crucible wall. Alarms screamed. The Crucible was going unstable. Briggs shouted, "Leviathan, get up!" But the Annihilator charged him directly. Last stand, help from the shadows, as the Annihilator's weapon rose above Briggs. Ready to crush him, a blast of dark energy sliced across the platform. Titan Umbra appeared behind the monster, silent, cold, efficient. It moved like smoke, slashing the Annihilator's arm off in one strike. Then Drakefire appeared, to melting the ground beneath the monster's feet. Together, the 3 Titans overwhelmed it. In the end, Umbra delivered the final blow, piercing the Annihilator's chest with a blade of pure shadow. The monster fell backward. Into the Crucible, Briggs screamed, "No! The core's unstable." Escape the final countdown. The Crucible began to collapse, molten metal bursting into the sky. Tessa yelled in Briggs' ear, "Core breach in 40 seconds. Extraction point is collapsing." Briggs ran. Leviathan, wounded but walking, caught him and lifted him into its cockpit. The Titans ran. The ashlights swooped down, bay open, engines burning. One by one, they jumped in. Tessa counted 10 seconds. The Crucible exploded just as the ashlight jumped to warp behind them. The Forge world broke apart. A factory planet, reduced to falling debris and flames. Final scene across the galaxy. News spread fast. Forge world destroyed. Forces strike Empire's core. Is the war turning? On a dozen slave worlds, workers stared up at the sky and dared to hope. Even in the Empire Senate, voices of doubt rose. How many more can they destroy? The Emperor gave only one command: prepare the final protocol. In orbit over the shattered moon of Drellin 4, an urgent transmission spread across open space. It was from a small civilian cargo ship. The pilot's voice trembled. "To any human outpost, please. We have refugees aboard. A Titan helped us escape an Empire attack. We have information about Project Ember's last vault." Briggs listened to the message from the command deck of the Ashlight. The voice sounded honest. The story matched recent events. And the biggest detail? They claimed to know the location of Earth's hidden fleet vault, the last place Earth's Space Force stored battleships, before they vanished during the fall. Tessa blinked beside him. "Commander, odds of this being real, 12%. Odds of this being a trap, 88%. Briggs stared at the signal, then nodded. "I'm going anyway." Empire high orbit, behind the curtain high, above Drellin 4. Inquisitor Vara stood aboard her black-armored cruiser. Her voice was calm, cold. "He'll come. He won't ignore that message. He's looking for hope." Behind her, 10 Empire battle cruisers floated silently, cloaked and waiting. A full strike force. Ambush made for one man and his Titans. Back on the Ashlight, decision made. Briggs briefed his team. "We're jumping to Drellin for a risky move. But if this intel is real, we could find Earth's last fleet." Tessa hesitated. Cerberus is still undergoing repairs. Only Leviathan and Drakefire are battle-ready. Briggs checked his gear. Then we take both. Keep the ashlight hidden in high orbit. If we fall, you run, Tessa replied quietly. Always say that. You never fall. Arrival at Drellenive, the planet was cracked and broken. Once a mining world, now a ghost rock spinning in space. Briggs landed near the beacon site.
Ow.
Dust swirled. No movement. Leviathan and Drakefire stood silent. Behind him, then, a soft voice came through the comms. Welcome, Commander Briggs. Briggs froze. That voice, it wasn't from the cargo ship. It was Vera's. We've been expecting you. The sky turned red. Cloaked ships appeared all around 10 of them. Laser grids locked on. Titans were targeted. There was no cover, no place to run. Inside Leviathan's cockpit, the AI spoke urgently. Incoming locks, signals heavy artillery, multiple launch paths. You're surrounded. Briggs stared at the screens. We've walked right into it. Tessa sent a private line from orbit. Abort. I can activate emergency warp extraction. No. Time, Briggs said. They're jamming our coordinates. Outside Varys' ship dropped lower. Her face appeared on the external comms. This ends today, Commander. Any last words? Briggs didn't answer. Instead, he touched the Titans. Core panel and whispered, let's break the box. Surprise move, the core burned suddenly. Drakefire unleashed a move no one expected, a core burn. A forbidden. It's a highly unstable weapon buried deep inside Earth Titan tech. A blinding pulse of red plasma exploded outward, crashing lock-ins and knocking Empire ships off balance. Briggs shouted into comms. Now charge. Leviathan sprinted forward, massive railguns roaring. Drakefire leapt through debris, launching fire missiles in wide arcs. 2 Empire cruisers were destroyed before they could recloak, but then more came. Too many. Battle turns. Briggs moved fast, firing through enemy lines. Leviathan crushed an interceptor with its fist. But damage piled up fast. Drakefire took 3 direct hits. Smoke poured from its chest vents. Briggs screamed over the noise. Tessa, we need evac now. But Tessa replied in a voice filled with emotion. Too late, they've locked us in. I'm coming to you. Lux looked stunned. Tessa, no. But she'd already launched the ashlight down from orbit, then dashed the turn as the Empire circled in for the final blow. Something else arrived. A 3rd Titan signal appeared on Radar 1, not registered, not tracked, not marked in any human records. A black Titan. Massive. Silent. It dropped from hyperspace without a signature. Briggs stared at the screen. What the hell? The Titan landed hard, cracking the ground and released a sonic shockwave that disabled all nearby Empire sensors. Then a voice came through the ashlight's comms. A voice Briggs never expected to hear again. This is Marshall. Alina Voss. Earth is not finished. Flashback reveal, Voss survived for years. The galaxy believed Marshall. Voss had been executed after Earth fell, but she was. She was taken hidden in a secret vault station by rebel Earth scientists kept alive, fed information. Watching, waiting, now. She had returned, and she had brought Titan Umbroth, the last and deadliest Titan ever built, invisible to radar, powered by Black Star fusion, designed to hunt fleets alone. The battlefield shifts. Titan Umbra moved like a shadow, destroying Empire cruisers in perfect silence. One by one, they exploded. The Empire's trap turned into a grave. Vera's cruiser took a direct hit. Fire spread across her decks. Still, she stood tall. She activated a suicide cannon and aimed at Umbra, but before she could fire, Leviathan tackled her cruiser from below, tearing the weapon apart. Inside his cockpit, Briggs roared, "Not today." Retreat and escape. The few remaining Empire ships jumped to safety. Vera's vanished with them, wounded and furious. On the ground, Briggs stepped out of Leviathan, smoke rising behind him. Marshal Voss approached through the dust. They stared at each other then, after a long pause, Voss nodded. It's time we fight together again. Final scene, inside Umbra's cockpit. Voss stood at the controls of the Black Titan. On the screen, it's a star map. She selected a point deep in Imperial territory. The system blinked red. She turned to Briggs. We're not going to hide anymore. We're going to take, and we start. With the Forge world. Briggs smiled. The Empire's biggest shipyard. You'll never expect it.